This podcast is part of the C-Suite Radio Network, turning the volume up on business.
Hey, it's Chris Kirkpatrick, and welcome to the Executive Job Search Secrets podcast. And for this episode, I'm going to be talking about building your brand on LinkedIn. And in fact, the 4 steps in the process you need to follow if you're going to be actively seeking a job and building your brand online. We all know most executive level positions are not posted or advertised. So the big question is this: if those 100K plus jobs are not posted or advertised, how do you go about your job search in a way so you can find the right companies, connect with the right people, and land your next ideal opportunity as quickly as possible and without compromise? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Chris Kirkpatrick, and welcome to Executive Job Search Secrets. All right, so I'm really excited to talk about this topic. I know it's been a couple weeks since I've done my last podcast. There's been actually some tragedy in my life. I lost one of my best friends to a battle and with his health, and he's passed on, and I've been kind of helping his family through that, and it's given a lot of perspective to me. But for this episode, I think whenever you're building your brand online, I don't care if you're talking about building a business or building your brand to find a job, it's all about establishing trust, right? Because people buy from people they know, like, and trust, and they hire people they know, like, and trust. And so you have to think about it in those terms. And when it comes to establishing your brand online, let's talk specifically about LinkedIn, because let's face it, that's going to be ultimately where you spend the bulk of your time online. You can completely waste your time and energy. I always tell people LinkedIn can be one of the most valuable resources in the world for your job search, or it can be the biggest waste of time and energy that you have if you don't follow the right process. The challenge is most people go on LinkedIn, they try to connect with people, and then they just kind of spam people. They just blast out these messages, and it's really not about what you can do for them. It's all about just asking and telling people that you're looking for an opportunity. You're just blasting out your resume, and most people think that that's the way to be effective online, but that doesn't work when you're dealing with people on a person-to-person basis. So it's certainly not going to work when you get online. I think a lot of people lean on that as a strategy because they feel like at least they're doing something, right? And if they can have that activity, so to speak, of just sending that resume out, sending messages out, then they feel like they're being productive. But activity isn't always productive, and I think that's really important to understand. So I have a process that we follow, and I actually wrote about it in my book. And little shameless plug here, really excited. My book, Executive Job Search Secrets, with my co-author Matt Beckley, is coming out, and I'm actually going to do an interview with Matt in the next podcast episode, or one of the next podcast episodes, because I wrote the book with Matt because Matt was an executive job seeker. He was in between positions. He had a conversation with me. We became quick friends. He happened to live in the Arizona area near me, and he decided to get involved with what I was doing. And he fell in love with what we do so much that, he got behind what we're doing. He invested in the project, and I'm now just grateful to have Matt as a friend and a business associate and a business partner on everything that we're doing here. And he co-wrote the book from the perspective of a job seeker, talking about it. And I thought it would be really, really valuable, because there's a lot of books out there that talk about how to find a job and different perspectives on it. But there wasn't a book out there that had the perspective of both an advisor or a coach in the executive search space, along with the perspective of somebody that had gone through it recently, that was kind of both sides of the coin of the perspective of going through it. And so that's why I think when this book launches, Executive Job Search Secrets, here very, very soon, we just got the final manuscript done. I think it's going to be wildly successful, and what I'm excited about is I know it's going to help a lot of people. I know it's already helped the people that have utilized it, because I've been kind of had a beta test group going out there. And if that is you, and if you're interested, I am still open to giving just copies of this out there in exchange for a review, because that is something that we are looking for right now. So feel free to, I'll do this kind of exclusively through the podcast here. If you're listening to this, that tells me that you are somebody that's actively looking to find your job, and I'd love to be able to give you access to read the manuscript with the understanding that I give it to you ahead of time for free in exchange for a review, assuming that you did find value from the book. So I'd be excited to do that. Just email me, chris@careernextagency.com, and we can go from there. But getting back on track, sorry for the shameless plug there, but hopefully that will help you. Getting back on track, the 4-step process that I go through, and it makes sense. It's be known, be liked, be trusted, be hired, right? So if it's the old adage, people hire people they know, like, and trust. And when they know you, then they like you, then they trust you, and then they can hire you. Now, online, when you're building your brand online, that is even more important. And a lot of times people miss this. When you are first connecting with somebody, that is the be known part, right? So whether or not they even know you yet, because think about it this way, I'm connected to over 5,000 people on LinkedIn. I know a lot of people are connected with even more than that, or some less, but regardless, I think most people, if you're using LinkedIn or social media effectively, you're not going to really know everybody that you're connected with deeply, at least, right? And so just because you're connected with them doesn't mean you know them. So you want to connect with them, but then you also want to do things on your profile. You want to share content. You want to engage. You want to like. You want to respond. You want to share their comments and valuable postings, and just create engagement with other people that are kind of in the sphere of influence that you'd like to penetrate or get inside that circle of, right? And so you want to make sure that you're spending your time building awareness of you. You want to be known to them. That is the first step. And so once they know you, right, and when you're spending your time connecting with people, that you can add value to, that will add value to you, it's got to be a mutually beneficial kind of relationship and engagement. Once you know people like that and you've built your network, now it's about you adding value to your network, whether it's you writing articles, whether it's you posting content, whether it's you, just engaging with them, responding to them, encouraging them, adding value to them on their postings, whatever they do, whether it's you trying to establish yourself as a thought leader. When they know you building up, you want to make sure you bring your personality into this, right? You cannot be vanilla. You want to be polarizing on a certain level. You want to make sure that you are going out there sharing other people's content. As soon as if you like somebody, if you think somebody else does something that adds value, you want to engage with them. You want to share their content. And why? Because now you're helping build their agenda. And one of the best ways for them to actually really like you and build a relationship with you is that they know that you're out there trying to help them. If you just connect with them and they know you, and the first thing you do is you ask them for a job or a reference or a recommendation or something like that, and they don't even know you yet, the odds of them wanting to help you or being willing to help you are so low. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. But if you've built a relationship online with them and you've seen their content and they've seen that you've shared their content and you've engaged with them and you've encouraged them, by the time you go to ask for something, then they're going to be more likely to help you. Now, I want to throw a caveat in there and say, you can't just go out there and be like, I really want something from John Smith, and so I'm just going to like them and share their content and just try to build their trust inauthentically. And then in a couple weeks, I'm going to ask him for something. It doesn't work that way. You need to make sure that what you are doing is authentic, because otherwise people will see through you. And it's that old adage, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Once they find out how much you care, you better know something. But it's people are going to be willing to help you if they know that you really have a brand of service and helping other people first, right? And that ultimately is, that authenticity is going to be what helps you to at least begin to establish that trust. Now, when it comes to being trusted online, it can be challenging. It can take a little time. It doesn't have to take 6 months or a year, but it can take time and consistency. So whatever you do, whatever your strategy is, maybe you want to do LinkedIn Lives, maybe you want to post videos, maybe you want to just create a posting or write an article every week, or make a post every single day or 3 times a week, or whatever it is that you choose to do. You just have to be consistent. And so if you want to be trusted, if you want to build yourself as a thought leader, as an expert on LinkedIn, which quite frankly, if you are looking to be a leader in your field as an executive leading an organization, one of the best and most important things that you can do for your career at this point in time moving forward is to be seen as that expert on LinkedIn. Now, to do that, well, I have an equation that we leverage, and I wrote about it in the book a little bit, but it's quality content plus engagement, and put that in parentheses, multiplied by time equals trust. So if you can create quality content and create engagement on your content, and also give engagement to other people's content, and you do that consistently over time, that's going to equal trust. That's what's going to build your trust. And if you can do that, then ultimately you're going to be hired. And that's what's going to lead to opening more conversations. That's what's going to get people to advocate for you. And if you do that effectively, you're going to have a brand that's so strong, you're never going to have to worry about where your next job is coming from, because people are constantly going to be seeking you out for your expertise and looking for you to help lead and guide their company into the future. So I hope that helps. I hope it makes sense. Once again, if you have any desire to be able to get early access to our book, and be able to read it to help your job search, I'd love to get you a copy in exchange for a review. I'm looking for people who are really driven. I assume since you're listening to this podcast, that's probably you. So I'd really be excited to be able to share that with you. But until next episode, go out there and crush it, and we'll see you then. Thanks so much for listening. As a token of my gratitude, I want to give you free access to my Executive Job Search Secrets Masterclass that'll walk you through the 5 steps we use with every single one of our clients to help them find their ideal job in the shortest time possible. If you look below, the link to the masterclass and your free access will be listed in the description of this podcast episode. I hope it makes a huge impact in your job search. Go out there and crush it. I'll see you on the next podcast.
Like what you just heard? Visit c-suiteradio.com. C-Suite Radio, turning the volume up on business.